welcome everyone. We're just going to give a couple of minutes to make sure that everyone is in before we begin this presentation on the Sports Academy at Worthing College. Hope you are all safe and well. Afternoon, everyone. Hope all is well. We are just waiting for a few other people to drop in before we start the first presentation of the afternoon, which is the Sports Academy at Worthing College. At any point during the presentation today, you can ask us questions which will hopefully be answered live, whether it's by ourselves or whether it's on the chat option. So please make sure that you put any questions you may have while we're talking in the Q&A box. So we'll just wait another minute or so and then we will begin. If there's any technical problems, please make sure you alert us in the chat and we will make sure that we sort that out for you, because it's very important to listen to everything that we've got to say this afternoon. Okay, so what we'll do is we will make a start. Afternoon, everybody. Hope you are safe and well. My name is Dave Hall and my role at the college, I'm a Deputy Head of Learning. So the areas that I cover are PE, Sports Science, Sport, Computer Science and IT. I'm also the head coach of the men's football programme, and I also oversee the Academy of Sport with Tina Price, who's also going to be on the presentation this afternoon, along with Sarah Briggs, who is the Academy of Sport coordinator, and she'll be answering any questions that you may have. Please make sure that if you have any questions, you put them in the Q&A box rather than the webinar chat. So next slide, please. Okay, so the Academy of Sport at Worthing College. The ethos of the Academy of Sport at Worthing College is to develop the academic athletes. So with regards to this, and the presentation with regards to the academic courses is later on this evening, we combine high-level academic performance with also high-level sporting performance. Obviously, you may have read the Ofsted report that took place back in March, that we were graded an outstanding in all areas. So obviously for your son and daughter potentially coming to Worthing College, they're in a very safe place academically. With regards to the Academy of Sport itself, we train and play day in, day out at regional and national level. So with many of our sports, we compete at the top level for college sport in the country. So currently our Academy of Sports are in basketball, men and women's football, men and women's rugby and netball. All of this is linked within the timetable, which we will show you later on in the presentation of how it all works. Obviously, please, if there's any questions, keep or start dropping them in now. Next slide, please. So during the first lockdown, we made sure that obviously everyone stayed involved, and obviously the importance of physical activity and mental health is extremely important to us. So what we did was we had a virtual sports awards, so we couldn't have our own annual event that we do. So what we did was we do a lot on social media, so please check us out on Instagram, Twitter, etc. So could it be you next? Could you be the next person listening today that could be picking up those awards at the end of next season? Next slide, please. So I'm going to introduce you now to Tina Price, the Academy Manager, who's going to go through the next couple of slides.
Hi, everybody. Yes, I manage the academies here at Worthing College, and I'm also very proud to coach the Netball Academy here. I'm delighted to say that despite the lockdown, we did manage to play the National Schools Finals in March, week before lockdown, and retained our national title. So you can't get anything bigger or better in netball than that. So in 2019, we won 5 county cups, 4 national cups, a regional league, a Sussex league, a Hampshire league, and we were runners up in a national cup. Now, we compete in, as Dave said, national and regional leagues in all our sports. So you won't be playing somebody locally, you will be playing people from all over the place. Now, that does require a lot of commitment from the students to make sure that they keep their work all done and up to date to enable them to play on a regular basis. One of the benefits of being at Worthing College is we're part of the AOC, the Association of Colleges, and as a result, our students do play in those leagues together with their cups. And they also have the opportunity to trial and play for an England team. So if I could have the next slide, please. Okay, so last year, 2019, we had 5 girls represent England, 4 in netball and 1 in football. We had 2 footballers who played for England at the Europeans under 17s. We work very closely with Brighton Hove Albion and their football academy over there. The students come here and their timetables are worked in accordance with Brighton so that they get the support both for football and educational. We had 2 girls play for England against, I think it was Italy. And then we had a girl representing Italy from girls rugby and 1 in England. So we had an awful lot going on with regards to the AOC and the individual honours that they achieve. Can I have the next slide, please? Okay, so this is for parents really, and I always impress upon this that one of my jobs here at the college is to make sure that the sports students aren't just here to play sport. We make sure that they do the best academically that they can. So they may be in an academy programme, but unfortunately, if they don't live up to the college's expectations, then they are penalised with their sport. So in the first instance, if there are situations where students aren't attending lessons or aren't doing the work that's set, they are referred to the tutor and myself, and we have a chat and find out if there's any problems. I mean, occasionally, unfortunately, there are problems that are preventing the students achieving. But if it's just that they're not really very keen on learning and they just want to be here for sport, then we have a little chat. Unfortunately, if things don't improve, then it goes to stage 1. Again, there is a warning shot fired. But if they don't achieve and they get to a stage 2, then regretfully they are suspended from all training and playing. And this normally has a required effect. And, you know, once they get back on track, then they're back playing again. But it makes no difference whether we are in a national final or whatever. I'm afraid if the students aren't doing as they are required to do academically, then the academy slot goes. So I feel as a parent that that gives some reassurance that we're not just interested in their sporting performance. Can I have the next slide, please? Okay, so as Dave said earlier, the lessons are organised around the sport. So the academy trains on a Monday afternoon, a Friday afternoon, and matches are on a Wednesday. Now, because we do travel quite a bit with all the academies, the students are off timetable on a Wednesday from 10:40, which enables us to get on a bus or a minibus and go off to wherever we need to go without impacting on lesson time. There's also there's strength and conditioning. So for argument's sake, a lot of students would be doing 3 A levels, so they would be put into blocks And you've got here, so for argument's sake, you might have a lesson for PE on a Monday and a Wednesday morning, 8:30 to 10:30. You might then have a lesson for psychology, 11 o'clock on a Monday and 8:30 on a Friday. And then say if you're doing A-level maths, perhaps 11 o'clock on a Tuesday and Thursday afternoon. So as you can see, the academy training works around the lessons. As well as doing that, you are expected to work independently for a further 12 hours a week, which is called, we class that as ISP work. And the remaining time is geared towards getting work experience or employment. Now, we would ask that no student works for longer than 10 hours a week. Anything more than that, coupled with the sport, and most of our students will be playing sport outside of the college programme as well. So anything more than that, I can honestly say they really won't achieve. So that is something they need to be aware of. Dave, do you have any comments you'd like to add about the college timetable?
Yeah, so from my point of view, from the education point of view, this is what personally sets us apart from anyone else locally and probably regionally as well. The beauty of this is it allows you as a student to pretty much study any kind of combination of subjects that you wish. So if you've been on Instagram and you checked out a couple of my FAQs that I did over the last few days, one of them was about, do you have to study sport to be in an academy program? The answer is no, you don't. So we have students that study a combination of subjects, which are obviously their academic interests, but then they can also combine that with their study. So again, I can't stress highly enough that as an establishment, your son or daughter are potentially coming into an outstanding establishment which has been verified recently by Ofsted. Obviously, the additional stuff, the independent study, is something that we take incredibly seriously as well. Whether it is an A-level or a vocational pathway that you choose, which obviously more information will come out over the following days with that, and obviously tonight with regards to sport PE and sports science. But obviously, I can't stress highly enough, with my foot being in the academic camp as well as the sporting and the coaching camp, your work has to be done, or otherwise you will suffer by not training or playing, which again, with the squads being competitive, then there's the opportunity that you may have to work a little bit harder to get your place back. Just got a question just live, just that we've just had up, which I know we had earlier, which has now just transferred across. So thanks for this, Terry. Just quickly, I'll answer it quickly before we move on. In terms of the trial process, for any of our teams, we do them in April or May time. And in terms of how you sign up for it, we'll talk about the application process. So at the bottom of the application process online, you make sure you put down, in this instance, either the men's football performance program or the women's football performance program. So hopefully that's answered that question. Next slide, please.
Thank you, Dave. Okay, so there is a charge for the academy. So it's £100 a year. And for this, you get your gym membership for you to work on your strength and conditioning. Strength and conditioning is something that I can honestly say I knew very little of when I first came here at the college, but I genuinely believe it's what's enabled certainly my netballers and other academies to compete at the highest level. It's a major part of our programme here. The medical strategy, it contributes towards the facilities. The boys and the girls football train at Culver Road. For any of you involved in football, there's probably no better facility in Sussex. Competition entries regionally and nationally, obviously the coaching and the travel to and from training and matches all over the country. I did see a question on the Q&A earlier on. No, we don't expect you to make your own way to matches at all. In fact, you would be totally discouraged from doing so. We like to go together as a group. Either if it's a large group, then we hire coaches. If it's room on a minibus, we go on a minibus. So that's what the academy membership. Now, for anyone who is struggling financially, and I do appreciate with current times, it's probably more than normal. There is a bursary scheme with the college, and that will all be on the college website next year. And the membership and the kit is something you can claim for if you're eligible. So please don't put off applying for the academy due to financial reasons. We can help sort it for you. Next slide, please. Okay, we are extremely fortunate here that we have the Sussex Performance Centre, and we have a brilliant relationship with the guys there in what we call the SPC, to develop both, you know, the students and the athletes. And I believe that we're probably, no other college has this access or this relationship. There is a couple of guys who work in the SPC who are former students of Worthing College, so they fully understand the importance of it, about how the students need to be fit and healthy and conditioned, because if you have a conditioned student, the chances of injury is far, far less. So we're really delighted to be working with them, and despite all the problems we've had with COVID this year, we have managed to continue that relationship with them, and our existing students are having a really good time with them at this current moment. Next slide, please. This is just something to give you an idea. We're currently using JOMA for our kit packages. They come, we get our kit, or the students get their kit via Broadwater Sports. It's all dealt with online. And I have to say, they all look extremely smart when they go, when they train. And I believe they really enjoy having the kit as part of the academy. As I said earlier, please, if financial situations is a concern, you just need to talk to us, and there will be some financial support for families that are eligible. And we don't intend changing the kit for the foreseeable future, so please don't think that we have one kit package one year and one the next. That's not what happens. Next slide, please.
Sorry, Tina, just before
yes, sorry, don't
go on to TAS, that's all right. Just before we speak about TAS, there's a couple of questions going through with regards to kit and the costing. So it kind of ranges, doesn't it? So what?
Yes.
So what are the range in terms of the cost of kit have we got?
Okay. I think the most, well, the rugby kit, to be honest, very little is bought through Broadwater. That's done through the rugby coaches here at the college. They've worked extremely hard because no main manufacturer makes decent rugby stuff these days without it being an absolute fortune. So a lot of that comes in from abroad, and I think the rugby is round about £130 for everything. That includes the playing shirts. The football runs out around about 130, basketball similar. It's certainly I would think the most expensive package is 140. So, and that's for the whole year. And it is good quality, and most of the students manage to make it last 2 years. So unless they grow suddenly or whatever. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I know there's been a couple of questions that have come through in terms of like the cost of programs, and if you're looking at value for money, and obviously the kind of the bursary system that we do have in place, I feel that as a program in comparison to other centres and establishments that compete at our level, it is extremely good value for money, especially if you throw into that £100 academy membership, which is a yearly fee, but what it gets you is it gets you all the conditioning, all the work with the Sussex Performance Centre, all the access to the medical stuff, obviously the travel to and from fixtures, to and from training, the level of competition that we compete at, because obviously that costs money as well. So again, there's so much that you get for your money, which actually I think if you're comparing it to other centres which are out of area and at the same level, it is a very competitive price indeed. And also with regards to the kit, because of the quality, yes, you are looking at that is your kit that will last you the 2 years that you are at the college and in the programme. So if you want to move to the next slide.
Sorry, just before we move on, Dave, I just wanted to add that despite COVID and the restrictions, we have managed to run our sports programme this year. we have trained every week. We have managed, football have had a football programme, they have been able to play, netball has been able to play. So we are a college that, despite all the problems that COVID is throwing at everybody, we haven't given up with sport, and we managed our trials before anyone else had ever done so. It wasn't easy doing it in bubbles of 5, but we did put our trials on. And I'm hoping that by the time, obviously, your sons and daughters look to come here, obviously COVID will be a thing of the past, but I just wanted to reassure everyone that we have continued our academy programme, and despite the lockdown for the next 4 weeks, we have sat today and come up with a plan for our academy students to enjoy the next 4 weeks with us. So please bear in mind that if you're considering which college to go to, because I know other colleges in the area haven't bothered with sport this year. Sorry, next slide, please.
Okay, so we had another question about another sport with regards to cricket. We've obviously, and again, we haven't mentioned it yet, but the academy sport is now in its 14th year. So when you hopefully come to us, it's going to be in its 15th year. So it's something that is established. So I know there's a lot of things that are popping up at the moment, but this has been in place for 14 years. So in terms of it being a proven program, a proven source for academic excellence, a proven source of sporting achievement, you know, the stats pretty much don't lie. So 3 or 4 years ago, what I decided is that I wanted to make sure we can try and provide as many options for as many different sports as possible. So how can we give the academy experience to those other sports, maybe the summer sports? So the reason why we don't do summer sports so much is purely because of the timetable. So exams take place in the summer, and obviously that takes over a lot of our time, and obviously in terms of students' times as well. So that's why we don't, for example, run a cricket program, because the actual season for cricket is only 4 weeks long. So with that in mind, I applied for a Sport England TAS dual career accreditation. So TAS stands for Talented Athlete Scholarship Scheme. And basically it's for performers that play sports that are not our academy sports, but they play at county, regional or national level. So basically what we look to do is we look to provide different workshops throughout the year, tutor support in the sense of actually being able for them to maximize their potential in the classroom, because a lot of these athletes are actually national or international athletes. So for example, the example on the right hand side, Shelby, I know netball is actually one of our sports, but she was performing at the top level. She was playing for England. We've had international level rock climbers, we've had international level sailors. So again, any sport is not off limits. And in terms of the workshops, we do things such as psychology, we do injury prevention, we work with the guys at SPC. You get some kit, so I provide some training shirts for you, and we are only one of 26 centres in the whole of England that have this dual accreditation. The closest accreditation in the area is Hampshire. So I know Barton Peveril and Itchen have this accreditation, but no one in Sussex has this accreditation. So again, we are leading the way with regards to sport. And in terms of dual career, the aim of it is to support students in what they do after us. So I'll talk a lot later about the stepping stone at colleges onto the bigger and better things that you will all go and do and will be amazingly proud of. But this program gives an additional bit of support towards that as well. In terms of that, if you are interested in that and you feel it could suit you, then obviously you would contact me, and then I would take you through the application process. The application process for TAS doesn't take place on the college application system. It is something you apply for once you come to college. So September next year, you enroll at the college, then you can apply for TAS. So next slide, please. Would you like to go through the AOC National Championships, Tina?
Yes, sorry, left myself on mute there. Okay, so the AOC National Championship. So this is an incredible weekend if you're lucky enough to be in a squad to go to the national champs. The netballers won it 2 years ago, and absolutely gutted that this year they got to the finals again, which are held at Nottingham University. And Sadly, COVID did put a stop to that, but hey ho. So this is an opportunity for not only the academy squads to compete at the regional championships, but also for individuals. So tennis players, squash players, badminton players, cross-country runners. What happens is we have the regional championships normally in November. They're going to be in January this year. And then the best teams or individuals in the region then go off to Nottingham to represent the region at the national championships. We go on a Friday, we come back on a Sunday, and it really is a tremendous weekend, coupled with an experience at university. You get to stay in the rooms that the university students stay in. You get a whole feel for the campus, and it really is. So if you're very talented at a sport that isn't part of our academy program, again, please come and see Sarah or myself once you've enrolled at college and let us know what you're good at, and we can give you that opportunity to compete for the college and the South, and then we go to the national championships to compete for what they call the Wilkinson Sword. And I'm delighted to say that every year that we've been involved, the South region have won it. So that's brilliant. So next slide, please. Okay, our college gym. Now, our college gym is manned by apprentices who are all working towards their level 3 qualification. As part of the academy, as part of the £100 academy fee, you get free access to the college gym, and it's open normally from 8:30 till 5:30 daily. I'm delighted to say that despite COVID, we have put all the necessary safeguards in place, and it is open for our students. It's not just the academy students that use this. This is any student in the college can. There is a charge of £50 for the year. So if you are part of a sport that requires you to spend time, and I'm sure they all do, in a gym, then do consider using the college gym. But it's very well equipped. And we also have a newly furbished outdoor space as well. So that's another area that you can use. Next slide, please. Supporters. Dave, can I hand this over to you?
Yeah, of course you can. Just to add to that last slide by Tina with regard to the college gym, obviously if you are a TAS member, you also get free membership to that as well as part of you being a TAS athlete. So again, it's little perks that we try and provide you as well for those students too. Obviously for a program like ours to run for 14 years, and obviously at the level that it runs and across the amount of sport that it runs, because I know that some colleges only do the odd sport. Obviously we're moving across quite a few sports at the level we do. Obviously we need that support, and a lot of the support comes actually from students that have been through the program, and they've been through the program, they've gone and been really successful people in their own right. So whether that's as business people or in the sporting circles or anything like that. And actually what's quite nice is they like to give back. And there's a couple of examples here, especially of guys that have supported, I know, my football program, in terms of supporting it, whether it be sponsoring shirts or whether it be giving bits back to the community, giving bits of advice, and all those kind of things, because it is very important for us, and this is something that we pride on massively. We're not just developing a player. We're not just developing an academic, but what we are is we're developing a person. We're developing a person to be extremely successful. So for example, and I'll probably tell this story later on, I'll see people in the street that I've taught, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, they'll come up to me and we'll have a chat and we'll see how they're getting on, and they're being really successful in what they do. So whether they're, they've got a young family or they've got a stable job, or they're doing the best they can, all those kind of things that, that are obviously we're in potentially as elite level sport as we can without being professional. But the important thing for us is we develop effective young people to go and be effective in the real world. And there's just a couple of examples there. So next slide, please. So again, there's a couple more. I know it's not extremely clear, but obviously the the working relationship we have with the Sussex Performance Centre. I know that in the area, Sussex Performance Centre is one of the fastest growing strength conditioning centres around. Obviously at the moment lockdown is affecting them a little bit, but they are so motivated and driven to continue and do the great work that they're already doing in the community. And again, Nathan is a good friend of mine. So we had the vision 4 or 5 years ago to set up within the campus. And also with regards to the rugby program, so whether it's women's rugby or men's rugby, you know, there is a real community ethos with regards to, you know, players, parents. Obviously the students give a lot and giving back in return, which again is something extremely important to us, because as staff we try and go above and beyond. You know, we're usually here later than everyone else, here earlier than everyone else, to make sure that, you know, as students and hopefully your son and daughter, you know, they get the best experience possible. And that's what we do in terms of our vocation. So next slide, please. So we may have answered some of these questions, and I know there was a request for a slide to go back to, which we will do in a second. So how do I apply to be in the academy? So I'll just run through this again briefly. In terms of the process, when you apply for the college, you do it online. So that if you go to the website and you click apply now and you select your subjects, you go through the online application. Basically, the academy is also an academic subject. So for example, when you pick your 3 A-levels, or when you pick your double vocational plus an A-level, or you pick your full vocational program, you also at the bottom select your performance program. So depending on the sport, you select that performance program. What then happens with that application, you are then on the system, on our list. And then when there is any information to be sent out with regards to maybe sport specific sessions, which we're looking at potentially doing, because obviously again, virtual doesn't beat face to face. You know, whether it's trials, whether it's any other bits of information, we can then send that out to you. In terms of the application process, my personal opinion and what I say to any open event is like apply, you know, apply to as many places, and again, decide what is right for you as an individual and as a family. Do I have to study sport? No, you don't. Simple as that. Again, the majority of combinations do fit the academy timetable. Obviously, if they don't, then that's something that we do look at that, and we make sure that education obviously comes first, but at the same time, you can still play sport. Again, we're getting questions about how can we apply for the trials, how can we apply for the program. Hopefully I've just answered that question in the sense of you do it on the application process. So for example, if you want to apply for men's football, you would stick men's football performance program at the bottom of your application online. So again, it's quite a clear process. Obviously, if you have questions with that, again, you know, give us a shout. Is there a trial process? Yes, there is. With regards to that, as I said, we usually do them in April, May time. Trials process for me are very detailed. You need to have a reference from whether it's a coach or a teacher. You will go through pretty much a training session process, which a lot of the time is videoed, because as coaches, we need to gather as much information as possible to make a fair and right decision. And then obviously in some sports, so for example, football, where in the past we have had a lot of trialists. This year, I think, you know, the numbers were outstanding for the kind of obviously the lockdown process. We have second trials, so again, and we alter the structure of that as well. So again, what we try and do is give you the best opportunity to show us what you can do. Do I get support with my studies? Yes, you do. Obviously, Tina spoke about the intervention process. Obviously, having coaches that are teachers as well, it's very important that we can have those little conversations or those one-to-ones or those subject support sessions that can support you in your study. But obviously, the study is extremely important to us at the college. I've just had another question up from Caitlin. Do you have to enrol in the academy to represent a college sports team? Could an A-level PE student play for teams? We have to go through the trial process. It depends on your sport. So if your sport is not an academy sport, there is a chance you can represent the college at the AOC National Championships, for example. But obviously, as we've got our academy programs, then if you want to be in those teams, you have to trial for those teams. Do you do any additional trips linked with the Academy of Sport? So what we've done over the years is this has mainly been linked to men and women's rugby and men's football. So the men and women's rugby over the last few years have gone to Holland. The ladies squad were looking to go to Italy because we have really good links in Holland into Italy with regards to rugby. So we've had Italian and Dutch internationals come over and actually play for us as well at college level, which is outstanding for everyone involved, coaches, staff, players, and they're excellent students as well. So we have really good links with them. So we look to do that yearly. With the men's football, so for the last 5 years, we've gone out to Toulouse, Spain to do a warm weather training camp during February. We're looking to do that again this February, but obviously at the moment we are restricted to guidelines. However, there are players that are going out there if the guidelines do allow us to do that. So again, as Tina said earlier, we are looking to continue to do things within the guidelines, and as staff, we are working around the clock to make sure that our players are safe, our staff are safe, but at the same time, we are still competing and training and playing at those high levels to ensure that when the seasons do start, which it looks like we're going to go for a January start now, even though some of our competitive games, we are going to have competitive games tomorrow, but obviously after that, it's going to be suspended till January. We are in the best possible position to compete at that level. Is there anything else you want to add, Tina, before we go back to the timetable slide? Because I know there's a request to go back to the timetable slide.
No, I think you've covered that all day. Thank you.
Okay, so could you go back to the timetable slide, please? No worries, Destiny. So Destiny brought this up. We wanted to go back to the college timetable slide. This is just an example timetable. Okay, so if you do, so basically 3 is a magic number in college. So in terms of that, it is 12 hours of in-class study, which is equivalent to your 3 A levels. So whether you do a BTEC, whether you do a CAMTEC, whether you do a BTEC A level mix, whether you do all A levels, you'll be in class for 12 hours a week. Okay, I've just put together here a timetable, which is a model timetable. But as you can see, the difference between school and here is that you're not blocked all the time. So our sessions start at 8:30 and they finish at 4. But again, you're not blocked in all of that time. So again, there is what we call free time for you to obviously train, but independent study, also work. Obviously, I know it's a bit difficult to work potentially for some people at the moment, but it's kind of the aim is to provide that full working week, but not just with lessons. So you've got your lessons, you've got your independent study, you've got your training, you've got your playing. In terms of the strength conditioning and the video and the academy training, so this is an example of what the men's football do. And as you can see, by looking at it, they do something every day. This is very similar to all the other programs. I know that, for example, women's rugby have a 2-hour block on a Thursday where at the moment they would be training, but what we've decided to do is we've decided to provide a study support program because obviously, like all of us now, you can't play till January. So again, we are looking at really developing the students with regards to their academic study as well as their playing, and obviously mixing it up during that time. Just had a question come on in terms of do the sports teams do a lot of analysis to help their sport? For me, video is something that is used for the majority of sports, if not all the sports. In terms of men's football, we use a program called Huddle, which allows us to download all the footage onto a central system, and then the players can access that. We do a video analysis session every lunchtime, which is provided by our, I've got additional staff that do that. They're actually foundation degree students, and they do a fantastic job of picking out the strengths and areas we need to work on as well. So Tina, we've spoken a lot. I think we've got 4 minutes left. There's obviously been a lot of information there, guys and girls. Obviously, this is not the end. We will continue to provide information to you. In terms of us as a program as well, we're big on social media. So on Instagram, we're at Sport Worthing College. My Twitter handle is at DJHWorthing. Our Twitter handle is at Worthing Sport. So again, please get following and liking. And again, we try and put some information on there just to keep you in the loop with everything. Obviously, tomorrow we've got some competitive games are going on that last for a month or so. But we are really looking forward to to working with you potentially come September, and obviously maybe before that. One last question maybe before we go. We do analyse training as well as games, but obviously as we know, a lot of people like to watch what they do, and in terms of their game situation. But we do use video for training purposes as well, in terms of intensity and working out things as well. So we do try and go that extra mile for you, because obviously we want to make sure you're in the best possible environment to achieve.
I would just add that if you are best sellers of our programme and for Worthing College are our current and our ex-students. So for any of you that really want to know what it's really like, whether we honestly tell you the truth, and we do, please talk to our current students or those that have left our sports programmes, and I'm sure they will sell the college and the academies to you. So thank you all for watching.
Yeah, thank you very much, and take care and stay safe. And obviously, if you're coming to the chat later on this evening with myself, Chris, I'll see you then.